It's time for your Low Country real estate market update. It's the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. Brian is one of the top 1% real estate agents in Charleston. Find him online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or call him at 843-345-1273. Now, broadcasting from the WTMA studios, here's your host, Brian Beatty.
Good morning, Charleston. You're listening to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA. Thanks for joining me this morning. I'm your host, Brian Beatty. Been doing this show for 5 going on 6 years now and love being on the air. It's going to be a great weekend. I've got a lot of fun stuff to talk about this weekend. So appreciate you guys tuning in and spending the next hour with me as we talk about all things real estate. If it's your first time tuning into this program, this is where we talk about residential real estate. We talk about the housing market. We talk about national, regional, local news. We apply that to us here in the Low Country. And then I share my experiences as somebody that's been selling real estate for 11 years. We've got about 1,000 transactions under our belt. Believe it or not, we've already helped 70 people buy or sell a home this year. So big shout out to my team for just doing awesome. But let me give you an idea of what I have staged over the next hour. Here's what I want to talk about. First, I want to talk about the future of real estate. I want to talk about a real estate conference that happened in New York where they went through some of the pain points of a real estate transaction as experienced by buyers and sellers and real estate agents. And then they offered some technology and some things that can help resolve some of those issues. So I want to talk about that. I want to tell you a few things that we're doing that I think are a little ahead of the curve. So more on that in just a minute. I want to talk about the market in general. I want to go over some stats for our local market, let you guys know where we are in comparison to this time last year. And then I want to talk about interest rates, and I want to talk about some deregulation on behalf of Trump and his staff. I want to talk about when it is the right time to sell your home. I'm going to go through some important information there. Zillow seems to think they have everything figured out and that they can tell you exactly when to list your home. And so I'm going to debunk that, if I may. And then we're going to talk about some scams in real estate, 4 common scams that happen more often than you think, and how to protect yourself from those scams. So that's what we've got planned over the next hour. A lot of exciting stuff, kind of bouncing around here and there, but a lot of ground to cover. Now, if you'd like to reach out to me, you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate this year, I'd love the opportunity to help you. I can be reached personally at 843-345-1273. That's 345-1273. Or you can go to my website, listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Learn more about myself, my team, who we are, what we sell, how many homes we've sold. Learn about our marketing, all that fun stuff. And by the way, if you're going to sell your home this year and you're listening to this program, just 2.4% listing commission to help you sell your home. So we're going to help you save some money there. So listingsincharleston.com or 843-345-1273. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about the future of real estate. And I mentioned that there was a recent real estate conference in New York, and they analyzed the pain points of the real estate transaction. And they were experiences from the buyers, from the sellers, from the real estate agents. And then it was an open forum to discuss some technology and some implementation that they can use to resolve some of those issues. And so some of the key problems that they identified were, number one, poor communication and a lack of transparency of the process, which I absolutely agree with. We deal with that all the time, not just in talking with sellers that we come into communication with that had their home on the market for several months. It didn't sell. We then get hired. We then get the home sold, and they say, wow, the communication is just so much different. So I do agree with that. There's blind bidding wars and a lack of transparency across that process. Multiple offers are obviously a big thing in our market right now, so knowing how to navigate that process. Home buyer and home seller fatigue because of the time it takes to find or sell a home, have an offer accepted, and then the whole settlement process without any clear roadmap. I don't necessarily agree with that. I mean, yes, it might take a little while depending upon what you're trying to accomplish, but a good real estate agent can walk you through that process step by step and should be doing that. Delays in settlement that can totally derail all your work to date, finding a property, inefficiency in inspecting properties, transaction management, in particular, moving to a different state because laws are different. Handoff points across the buying cycle and settlement between the buyer, the agent, the seller, the bank, all those different people that are involved in the process just increase the odds of a ball being dropped. And then the emotion of the experience, and importantly, the purchase of a home. I mean, it's rarely recognized in my opinion. You know, we talk a lot about how to go from point A to point Z, and I do talk about this a fair amount on my radio program, but, you know, focusing on the emotion of the transaction. There's no such thing as a stress-free real estate transaction. We should all know that by this point, especially if you've listened to this program. Something's going to come up that's just outside of your control. You do your best to prepare as best you can. You set realistic expectations, and then you hire a real estate agent that's really good at problem solving. That's where an experienced agent can really come in and help you. So, you know, some of this stuff is already being addressed through technology, and my team already does some of this stuff. I mean, on my team, we like to stay at the forefront of technology, and we like to make sure we have an edge over our competition, and that's what helps us sell more real estate, obviously. So here's an example. So let's say somebody goes to one of my websites. I have one website that is different from listingsincharleston.com. It's lowcountryhomesearch.com. And so this might freak you out a little bit. And, you know, full disclosure, this is where things are headed. Other companies, other industries are doing this already. They're tracking everything that you do online. I mean, big data has become such an important part of creating a better experience for you online that when somebody registers on my website, if they input their correct contact information, let's say the correct phone number and the correct email address, the system that I use will automatically do a search through all social media profiles. So that when I wake up in the morning and I see that somebody was searching on my website at 11 o'clock last night, looking for homes for sale, and I pull up their information, here's the cool thing and kind of the creepy thing. I admit that. When I pull up your information, I get to see a picture of you because it matches your Facebook profile picture with my account. Then I get to see anything else that you may have put in Facebook or LinkedIn. You know, I get to know what your interests are. And so the cool thing about that is, let's say that I'm talking to a buyer about a property. Well, if I have enough information about this buyer before placing my phone call, which, by the way, is of huge benefit to my sellers because it's all about converting the interest that you receive and that are paying for through your marketing efforts to try and sell a property. So if I'm talking to a buyer and I know that they're an artist, I'm going to talk to them a lot differently than if I were talking to, let's say, an engineer or an architect. Two totally different ways of thinking about something, fact versus emotion. So we use some of this technology to create a better level of rapport with our potential buyers and sellers. But then my website will also track your behavior. And if you're looking at properties in a certain price range, the system will intuitively send you properties that fit your search criteria. If you've been on my website multiple times, my system is going to alert me that you've been back multiple times. And they're going to say, hey, this person is active on your website. Reach out to them today. And so that's an example of all this, what we call AI, artificial intelligence, behavioral tracking that allows real estate agents to sell more real estate. You know, gone are the days where people have, I remember when I first got into real estate, I had a big file box that I carried around with me, and it was separated by A, B, and C. In the A folder were all the people that were going to buy in 30 days or less. B was up to 90 days, and then C was anything after 90 days. And everything in that folder was categorized by last name, alphabetical. And when I spoke to them, I moved them to the back of, you know, things are so far advanced now. That's just one example. Here's another one. Let's say that you're researching a property and you don't live in that area. You're moving from a different state or a different, let's say a different country. I mean, we've sold dozens of homes to people that purchased a property sight unseen. So some of the things we can do now are something called like Matterport. If you guys have heard of that before, it's very similar to Google Maps, where when you go to Google Maps and you do the street view, you can click on the road at certain points and you can rotate your view, and it's as if you're walking down the street of a neighborhood. Well, they've taken that same general technology and they have now mapped the inside of a house so that as you're clicking on the screen, you can walk through the property, you can look around. It's really cool. So for buyers that are out of state, or for the buyers that we represent that are in a different country, they don't have to come here in order to get a really good sense for a property. We give them that information. We do that for our listings, and it works fantastically well. People love that technology, and that's out there. Now, switching gears, there's some speculation that at some point in the future, you won't need to tour homes with a real estate agent. You'll just be given some sort of access code directly by the seller for a specific amount of time to view the property on your own. And when you leave, the doors automatically lock and the lights automatically turn off. And there's also speculation that, you know, bots will walk you through the offer process, send you, information about each particular section of the contract. It's kind of like doing your taxes online, but filling out a real estate transaction form. And then that offer will be sent directly to the seller. It essentially cuts out the middleman, the real estate agents. That's what a lot of companies are trying to do. They're trying to cut us out. They're trying to offer technology and solutions for what they perceive to be a fraction of the cost of the real estate commission. But the fact of the matter is this: technology can and will help the real estate market become more efficient and consumer and agent friendly. I'm totally on board with that. We use technology in a big way on our team. But there will always be several things that technology can't replace, such as experience and market knowledge and problem-solving skills and an unbiased and professional consultation. And, of course, the time and the energy that it's going to take for you to go through all of this. So I think that there's a lot that agents can still offer. It's just that we've shifted over the past several years from being the gatekeeper of information to now consultants and market experts. So that's what I've got for that section. When we come back, we're going to talk about the market update, let you guys know where we stand as a market in Charleston compared to this time next year. Remember, if you'd like to reach out to me, you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate, please give me a call. My cell phone number is 843-345-1273. That's 843-345-1273. Or go to my website, listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Stick around. This is the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
Find Brian Beatty online at listingsincharleston.com. The Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues next on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA. Now, the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues on Charleston's Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
Welcome back, Charleston. Thanks again for tuning in to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA. I'm your host, Brian Beatty, and we just told you a little bit about some technology advancement in the real estate industry and some cool things that are coming down the pipeline, as well as some things that we're already doing to increase the experience for buyers and sellers and, of course, for agents as well. But what I want to talk about now is the real estate market. I want to compare our market to this time last year and then just give you guys an overall view of what's happening in this market, not just locally, but nationwide. Obviously, national and regional stats do affect us here locally because we have so many people that move here from out of state. So I want to go through that next. Now, if you want to reach out to me, if at any point in time you're thinking to yourself, man, I'd like to know what my home is worth, or I'd like some information on what's going on in my neighborhood, or I just want to stay up to date maybe once a month on sales in my area so I can keep a track on my home price, I invite you to give me a call and I can set you up on that. It takes 10 minutes. It's easy peasy. My number is 843-345-1273. That's 843-345-1273. Or you can go to my website, listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. And submit your information. We'll send you updates as often as you'd like and help you formulate a game plan if you're thinking about selling at some point in the future. So let's get right into it. Let's just talk about the market in general. I mean, so far we're off to a great start. It's a very active home sales environment in Charleston. I mean, you're looking at a few factors that remain the same. Prices are going up. Inventory is still low, and in some cases getting lower. And we're starting to deal with a little bit of an affordability crunch now that interest rates have gone up and first-time home buyers are looking at the appreciation coupled with higher interest rates, and they're thinking to themselves, man, am I ever going to be able to buy a home? But you look at some of the positives here, which is that unemployment has reached pre-recession levels, and sentiment among Americans for finding quality improvement or quality employment is at a real not all-time high, but it's very high right now. And that's great because job growth and higher paychecks fuel home purchases, right? But that won't matter as much if we can't get more inventory on the market, or if price appreciation and higher interest rates just mean that it's unaffordable for first-time home buyers to enter the market. But overall, the demand is incredibly strong out there, especially right now. I would say that buyer demand far outpaces seller demand. So I want to go through just a few quick stats, and then I do want to talk a little bit more about interest rates, and I want to talk about new construction as being one of those key areas that could really help solve our inventory issue. But I want to talk about some of the issues that are going on with new construction right now. So let's just talk about our Tri-County area overall. If you look at new listings year to date versus the same amount of time last year, we're up about 6%. We've put almost 4,000 new properties on the market as of the end of February. But pending sales, properties that have gone under contract, are up 20% from 2016. Closings are up 11%. We're selling homes in less time. We're selling them in 67 days on average. If you look at the median sales price, we're up 5% from this time last year, which is a big jump. We've continued to see an increase in the median sales price, and 5% is good. That's, if you look over the course of several years, would you say that price improvement is healthy? Well, I think that's all a matter of perspective. We went so far down in price that we had a lot of room to come up. Now, what people are seeing is that if they bought their home at the height of the market, in most cases, it's now worth very close to that or slightly more than that. And then if you look at things like the month's supply of inventory, this is what we as real estate agents use to gauge whether we are in a buyer market or a seller's market. So the month's supply of inventory as of February, because we don't obviously have March's numbers yet, was 3.1 months. That is down almost 30% from February of 2016. That means that if no other properties came on the market at the rate that we're selling homes, everything would be sold out in 3 months. And then if you look at the inventory of homes for sale, the total amount of homes available, at the end of February, we had a little over 4,800 homes available for sale. In February of 2016, just to give you an idea, we had 6,000. Back several years ago, we had over 12,000. So when we talk about inventory, it's an issue. If you're a seller and you're waiting, I'm telling you right now, there is so much activity. I mentioned this earlier. We've already done 70 transactions so far this year. There's so much activity in this market, and people are thinking about waiting until May or June. And I'm just telling you, there are buyers out there that are waiting for properties to hit the market. They are watching the market like a hawk. I know because we're talking to them every week. So if you're thinking about selling, get in contact with me after the show. Let's just talk about your specific market. And we are going to talk a little later on in this program about timing it right so that you sell and maximize the price and minimize your days on market. That's actually coming up next. But let's get into some more of these stats. Berkeley County, and I'm just going to read off the single-family detached stats. I'm not going to read about condos or townhomes. If you want that information, go to listingsincharleston.com, send me your address, and I'll tell you what's going on in your neck of the woods. But if you look at new listings in Berkeley County, they're up 13%. Closings are up 24%. The median sales price is up 11%. It's going to take you 48 days on average to sell your home, and you're going to get about 97% of your asking price. If you look at Dorchester County, new listings are up only 5%, but closings are up 19%. Median sales price is up 9%. It's going to take you 61 days on average to sell your house, and you're going to get about 96% of your asking price. Now, Charleston County only has 2.6% as an increase in new listings. Closings are only up 1.8%, but the median sales price is up 9.5%. It's going to take you on average 75 days to sell your home, and you're going to get about 95% of your asking price. So we've got all these great stats if you're a seller. If you're a buyer, yes, it's challenging. And we're going to talk about timing the market in the next segment, but I do want to mention just two more things as it relates to our market. First is the obvious one, which is interest rates. It's no surprise by now that you've all heard that interest rates have gone up. Rates for a quality borrower with a good FICO score and a good down payment for a 30-year fixed loan are somewhere between 4.5% and 4.75%. And that's, of course, depending upon the loan type. And if you're going to get a 15-year mortgage, it's somewhere in the high 3% range. So we're seeing a higher interest rate. For every 1% that an interest rate goes up, it essentially increases your monthly payment by 12%, is about the math on that. So if you're a buyer and interest rates go up 1%, that just means your property has become 12% more costly to afford. And so that's one of the reasons why we're struggling with first-time home buyers. Now let's take that concept of first-time home buyers and apply that to new construction. So let's just get a little political for a second. You guys, if you listen to this program and you know me, you know I'm not a huge political guy. I've become more political as of late, and I just don't apply that to this program. This is an educational program for real estate to help you guys learn as much as you can about the real estate industry and apply that knowledge so that when it comes time for you to buy or sell a home, you're informed, you're experienced, you know what to look out for, you know how to take advantage of a deal and make yourself some money and make it a smooth and successful transaction. But Trump signed an executive order at the end of February. It was designed to roll back a 2015 rule from the Obama administration known as the Waters of the United States. And without going into too much detail here, it was a regulation put on builders by the government that many builders have called very burdensome. And builders are claiming that 25% of the cost in their industry is due to regulations, increased permitting requirements, all the things, all the hoops that they have to jump through. 25% of their expenses are in the form of regulations. Now, builders are not only pleased with Trump's first move on attacking these inflated regulations, but they're also expecting further deregulation to come down on things like construction costs. So what's happened is builders have the highest level of builder confidence in the past 12 years. And they're measuring that, by the way, by the National Association of Home Builders Housing Market Index. But here's the interesting thing. Builders aren't actually selling that many more homes. The problem is this claim that 25% of the cost to build a house comes from regulations, which the builders are just passing off to the buyers. Builders are still facing several challenges in this market, which is affecting inventory. Those challenges are things like rising material prices and higher mortgage rates. You look at things like the shortage of available lots to build on and the price associated with building on those lots, especially here in Charleston, which is why builders are always looking for the perimeter properties closer to populated areas. They just can't afford to build in, say, downtown Charleston, and on top of that, the inventory isn't really available. Then you look at things like the shortage of quality and affordable labor, which has a lot to do with immigration reform, by the way. But the summary of all of this is that there are these certain roadblocks that have been put in place which are preventing builders from kind of busting through the gates, if you will, to build more supply, which is prolonging the seller's market we're in, which is obviously great for you if you're a seller. But as a buyer, it just seems like, man, when are we going to get back to normalcy here? When are we going to have something happen that's going to cause the market to become more in our favor? But real estate, obviously, right now is still very much in favor of the seller. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking about how to, quote unquote, time the market, it's helpful to consider things like these types of market dynamics, interest rates, new construction, how that affects new first-time home buyers, how the first-time home buyers affect the entire process, because first-time home buyers purchase properties so that owner can then buy a more expensive property so that it just trickles up. So it's a trickle up and a trickle down. Not to get too far into that, but that's essentially what's going on in this market. It's same old. Inventory issues, rising prices. Now we've got more focus on affordability, which in some cases is pricing people out of the market. But if you're a seller and you're thinking about selling, what we're going to talk about next is how to time this market. So stick around. And if you're thinking about selling, by the way, feel free to reach out to me. I'll give you an idea of what your home is worth, tell you what's going on in your specific market. Just give me a call, 843-345-1273. That's 843-345-1273. Or you can go to my website, listingsincharleston.com. Contact me that way, input your information. I'll send you my analysis, no cost, no obligation. I can do it in 10 minutes. So listingsincharleston.com. So stick around, Charleston. This is the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA.
Stay tuned for more of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on 1250 WTMA. Expert news and views on the Lowcountry real estate scene. The Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on 1250 WTMA.
Welcome back, Charleston, to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA. I'm your host, Brian Beatty, and I always like to take a little bit of time every program and just say thank you to those of you that listen to this program. It's very cool. It's a very humbling experience to have somebody say, hey, listen to your show, you do a great job, and that's part of the benefit of doing this program. I will admit it's nice to hear those kind words, but it's very therapeutic for me to be on this program. It's very nice for me to be able to come out here and talk to you guys for an hour about the real estate market and not apply all of these huge sales tactics and, all that salesy stuff that real estate agents do. I'm just here to deliver the facts. I'm here to educate you, give you the benefit of my experience as somebody that's been doing this for the past 11 years, sold 1,000 homes here in the Charleston market. And I gave a shout out to my team earlier. I'm going to do it again because I'm so proud of them. They've already helped 70 people buy or sell a home this year, which is just amazing. They're working so hard. And I think more importantly than the number of transactions is just our dedication to customer service. I mean, my assistant was in the office yesterday until 7 o'clock. You know, I ran back there because I forgot my computer, and I was like, what are you still doing here? She's like, I just had stuff to do. Had to get it done. So sorry for the sidebar there. Just really proud of my team. So I wanted to give them a shout out because I know some of them are listening this morning. But what I want to talk about now is how to quote unquote time the market. And if you're going to listen to this program, but you don't have the full 10, 15 minutes or so to get through this information, just give me a call. I'll help walk you through that. I'll give you some information to digest as it relates to your specific submarket. Just give me a call, 843-345-1273. That's 345-1273. The website is listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. But there's this interesting feature, if you will, on Zillow's website. You know, Zillow always is coming out with new stuff, and I obviously applaud them for the great work that they've done in obtaining clients. I mean, they have the market share of real estate searching online by a landslide. I mean, the second competitor isn't even close. So Zillow is certainly number one, but they've got this new tool that's going to estimate when you should sell your home. And so according to this new Zillow analysis, listing a home toward the end of spring significantly increases a seller's chance of making this happen. I'm reading this from Zillow's website, by the way. According to this analysis, homes listed in the first half of May sold 9 days faster and for almost 1% more money than average listings. And the caveat here is that this is the national average. And so from this article, they go on to say, and this is their justification, by the way, the article goes on to say that the low supply of homes on the market has pushed the ideal window later in the spring. Many shoppers who start searching for a home in early spring may need to look at several homes and make multiple offers and may still be shopping a few months later. By May, some buyers may be anxious to avoid more disappointment or eager to get settled in a new home before the next school year and may be willing to pay a premium to close the deal. So let's break that down a little bit, shall we? Great. For those of you that listen to this program, you know I'm not a huge fan of Zillow and their attempt to try and provide all these silver bullets and magic answers to getting the most out of your home and selling it. I'm not a big fan, but I'm not going to get into all that. So simply put, Zillow is using data from a website called comscore.com, which is a research website that uses data from the real estate category of their site where they're analyzing each month's rankings by unique visitors for a specific location and price range. So let me say that again. All they're doing is looking at the total number of unique visitors that go online and search for real estate for a specific location and price range in any given month. So Zillow is telling you when to list your home based on the online traffic for your home at any given point in time. So think about that. Their recommendation is based off the highest point in time in which people are browsing online for homes like yours. So it's an analysis of web traffic, not days on market, not pending contracts, not available amount of inventory at that particular time. It's based off of web traffic. So here's my question. Let's say I want to sell my house right now. It's a seller's market. Interest rates just went up again. There's literally nothing for sale in my neighborhood. What's been listed for sale over the past 6 months has sold in a matter of days and at or very close to asking price. So why in the world would I wait to list my home and risk giving another seller first crack at all the buyers that are out there right now willing to buy? I mean, the answer to this question of when is the right time to list is a twofold answer. Okay. First, it's when it's the best time for you. And if you don't want to move until September or October, who cares when the highest month is for online traffic? I mean, when you get a full price offer within the first week, I mean, for some people, it might make sense to say, look, we'll find a temporary living situation. But for others that don't want to go through that hassle, why does it matter that, April, let's say, would be the highest month for online traffic in your area. The second is that you have to analyze the market and both compare your home to the competition or lack thereof, and you have to analyze on average how quickly homes are selling and at what prices. So if you need to sell your home for more than the market will bear right now, you're probably going to need to wait until the market reaches a point where it can support your value. I mean, Zillow can't help you with that. Nobody can tell you to list in a certain month if your home just isn't worth what the market will bear. And by the way, a little sidebar here. I went on Zillow, and first of all the information they had about my house was incorrect. I bought that house 2 years ago. We've done a ton of work to it. We've added square footage. We've done major remodeling. So I looked at the Zestimate for my home. It's like literally 50% off, 50% too low. Not even close. Zestimate is such a different discussion, and I could spend so much time on that, but I won't. Here's what I will say about it, though, is please do not rely on the Zestimate to price your home or to cloud your judgment as it relates to the true fair market value of your home. Zillow is only going to compare your home based on the facts it has about your home to other homes, assuming the facts on those homes are correct. See, Zillow never is going to be able to tell what kind of condition your home is in and what kind of upgrades you've done if you don't tell Zillow that first. And even then, the standard deviation on a Zestimate is like 10% plus or minus. So they're just not going to be able to get close. So the simple answer is this. In terms of the question of being, when is it the best time to list? I just want you guys, don't read generalized articles online and take it to the bank. That's my big advice here is allow somebody like me who's selling 200 or more homes a year to analyze your specific submarket and consult you on when the best time to list should be. We need to look at several things. We need to look at your competition. We need to look at how long they've been on the market and at what price they've been listed for. Have they reduced their price several times? Or if a home in a really hot selling area has been on the market for 120 days and they haven't reduced their price, guess what? They're probably overpriced. If, on the other hand, and I just had a conversation with a seller the other day, we've been doing pre-marketing for them. We signed an agreement. They wanted to do some things to the home based on my suggestions, which I'm glad they did. And over the course of, several weeks, we started putting a bunch of feelers out there. We started our marketing plan without necessarily putting it actively in the MLS. So we started calling other agents. We started calling neighbors. We started calling our database. I'm not going to get into everything we do to pre-market our properties because we have agents that listen to this show. But we got a full price offer cash in like the first week that it was on the market. And so you want to talk about timing the market. We have to talk about how we are compared to our competition. We also have to have some realistic expectations as it relates to what people have been willing to pay for properties similar to yours over the past, let's say, 6 months. Really, the key and the success here is to build a roadmap, get all your ducks in a row, and then allow somebody like me that understands marketing at a very high level and understands that, my job, several things here are accounted for when it comes to marketing. But if you think about it this way, it's not just my job to cast the widest net possible to find buyers, everybody from the buyer next door to somebody in Japan, but it's also my job to cast that net as quickly as possible. The more marketing I can get out into the world quickly, the better chance we have of finding the buyer, creating excitement, creating multiple offer situations, and then ultimately shortening your days on market. So, appreciate you guys taking some time to listen to that. You're more than welcome to go on Zillow and play around with it. Personally, I think it's a waste of time. I think if you want to know more about when is the right time to list your home, you need to have a consultation with a real estate agent. You're just not going to be able to get that information online. So if you'd like that information from me, I'm happy to go through that with you. No cost, no obligation. Just go to my website, listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Input your information there. I'll give you a call. It'll be just me, and we'll have a private chat off air about that. And of course, my cell phone number, 843-345-1273. One more side note. Buyers, if you're listening, we have a huge database right now of people that will be hitting the market over the course of the next week to 90 days. If you're out there looking for property right now and you're struggling to find something, give me a call. We have what's called shadow inventory. homes that will be coming on the market. It's just not public knowledge yet. So if you want information on that, again, give me a call and I'll tell you what's going on and what we have in our pipeline that might fit your specific needs and your timeline. My number again, 843-345-1273, and my website, listingsincharleston.com. Stick around for one more segment. We're going to talk about real estate scams. So some good information there. Stick around. This is the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA.
It's the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. Broadcast Saturday mornings at 9 and Sunday mornings at 10 on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA. WTMA. Now, here's more of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA.
Welcome back, Charleston, to the last few minutes of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA. Thank you very much for sticking with me over the past few minutes as we talk about the market here in Charleston. Always appreciate those of you that reach out to me after the show and ask your general questions. I'm open to answer anything. If you need some help in real estate, you don't have to be buying, selling, or investing in real estate through me to get the benefit of my experience. You need help with a contractor. You have a general knowledge question. Of course, if you want to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, we'd love to help you. But if you'd like to reach out to me, 843-345-1273 is my cell. 843-345-1273. Or you can go to my website, listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Learn more about my team, who we are, what we do, what we sell, all that fun stuff. And remember, 2.4% listing commission to sell your home. Nobody else selling the amount of real estate we do is offering a commission that low. So here to help save you some money as well. All right, so we've got just a few minutes left. I want to talk about a few things that are really important. I want to talk about real estate scams. And I want you guys to listen closely because I'm going to give you the scam and then I'm going to give you the ability to overcome those scams. So scam number one is transferring funds to a scam artist or a fraudster. So let's say you've done your shopping, you've made your offer, it's time to put your money where your mouth is, and at least you think that's what you're doing, but you respond to an email request to send money to an account or to some person, and it winds up someplace else, perhaps someplace far, far away, say in a different country. And so this happens to people on anything from prepaying for insurance, contractors, earnest money, or in some cases, which is really unfortunate, sending the entire lump sum of the purchase price to somebody posing as a closing attorney. I mean, there's a story a while back of a buyer that wired funds for a home purchase to a scam artist, and their money vanished. It was gone. So here's the solution. Only respond to a verbal request for a wire transfer rather than an email by verifying that it's the right person, and always consult with your agent when proceeding with any step in the transaction. If you get a request for money, call and verify that that is in fact the person that you've hired based off an estimate that you have in writing, or if it's a request for funds, call the closing attorney, make sure that it was them in fact that sent that request. Last thing we want to see, of course, is you get scammed. And God, I hate that story about somebody sending all of their money, the entire purchase price, to somebody posing as a fake closing attorney. I don't know how they get this stuff, but obviously email hacking is a thing. Just be careful. So scam number two is renting a home that doesn't exist. I get this weekly. It's such a pain in the you-know-what. So here's what happens. Somebody goes online. They see this house. It's a great house, beautiful house, great neighborhood, huge backyard, checks all your boxes, super low rent. Just seems like everything is going to work out for you this time. And so the problem is that house, although it might physically exist, it does not exist for rent. So here's how this works. The scammer borrows, quote unquote, the address and the photos from a vacant home listed for sale, and they create a bogus home for rent ad online. They've even gone so far as to search through tax records and pose as the owner of the property. So when you ask to meet this supposed landlord, the answer is that, hey, I'm sorry, I'm out of the country. I can only communicate via email. And sometimes the scammers will get smart and use a phone call. I mean, I had one guy that had taken a picture of a fake passport that had my owner's name on it, but it was a different picture. It was not my owner. This happened recently in West Ashley. Crazy. So the person called me and said, hey, I just wanted to double check, is this real? And I said, thank God you called. This is 100% a scam. So what they're going to do is they're going to say, hey, sorry, we've hidden the key somewhere in the property. I'll give you access once you send me first and last month's rent or your deposit, or, I need $150 to accept your rental application or something like that. They're going to attempt to get money out of you before you get access to the property. And there have been cases where people have moved from different states and have already sent the money to a scam artist. They arrive at the door. The owner answers and goes, who the heck are you? So just be very, very careful about that. I mean, when you ask to get your money back, good luck. It's probably not going to happen. So before you fall in love with the house, make sure you're speaking to the rightful owner of the property on an established property manager by conducting an online record search. You can do things like searching Google. You can search county tax records. You can use things like courthousedirect.com, which can provide relevant information for that property. And in a similar scenario, a scam artist might be renting a property that's foreclosed or in some stage of foreclosure. And their interest, of course, is in pocketing your rent until the bank comes a-calling. So here's how you get out of that situation. All foreclosure notices are filed with the county clerk's office. So do a little research on that to make sure that the home that you're renting from a landlord, absentee owner, somebody that can't meet with you, you get a fishy smell, do your research. If you're not local, if you are local, make sure you drive by the house. If this guy says he can't meet with you, talk with the neighbor. A neighbor can be a fantastic resource of information. If their stories don't match up, then guess what? Walk away. But above all else, never, ever, ever send a cashier's check overseas without doing your homework. Okay, so that's scam number 2. Scam number 3 is moving companies holding your items hostage. And so let's say you found your ideal house, you hire a moving company, but you're just so stressed, you don't have enough time, so you just hire the cheapest one out there that grabs your attention. So unfortunately, after driving off with all your stuff, the movers are going to decide that they want a little more cash for their trouble. And so they're going to hold your belongings hostage until you pay them more than they originally quoted. I mean, it's essentially ransom. This scam is so prevalent that it's listed on the U.S. Department of Transportation site called Protect Your Move. That's how much this happens. So as you might imagine, the best prevention is to conduct due diligence to ensure that your mover is registered and insured, first and foremost, and that you get a written estimate. And I do suggest when you get your written estimate that you separate the moving labor from the transportation. I mean, instead of hiring a full-service moving company, you can hire hourly movers to help you load and unload the truck, and you just drive the truck if that's something you're interested in, especially if you're moving locally. That might be an attractive option for you as a way of avoiding this. But there's some good companies out there. There's several that we use that I trust that have done nothing but great things for my clients. So if that's something that I can help you with on any of this stuff, for that matter, give me a call. But here's scam number 4, and I'm going to get through this quickly, which is one of my least favorites, favorite/least favorite, which is the I'll sell your home or I'll buy it myself. It's a classic bait and switch technique, and it's been used for years and years and years and years and years. I mean, it's basically a tactic to win appointments as a real estate agent. So these programs come wrapped up with all kinds of things that the sellers have to agree to, such as agreeing to the asking price that the agent sets and agreeing to predetermined price reductions every 2 to 4 weeks. They might be a requirement that you buy a home through them. There might also be a requirement that you have to buy a home that's listed by their firm. You might have to pay a higher percentage commission because the agent's going to say, well, hey, if I'm going to take on the risk of buying your home, then we're going to charge a higher commission. And if it all works out for you, then isn't it worth the time and the money? Blah, blah, blah. So obviously and by the way, their offer isn't going to be anywhere near fair market value. You know that, right? That's obvious. So when sellers realize this and would never agree to these terms, then the agent just switches the tone to say, all right, well, that's fine. We don't have to go through all that. Let's just list the home the standard way. Well, obviously, if it sounds too good to be true, well, you know how that phrase ends. So if you get roped in by this tactic and it happens and the terms just don't meet your approval, just don't sign up with that agent. Interview somebody else. So that's scam number 4. And that concludes the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. So thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate your time. And if I can help you in any way, shape, or form, give me a call, 843-345-1273. That's 843-345-1273. Or go to listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Thanks again, Charleston. This is the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
Join us for another edition of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show next Saturday morning at 9 and Sunday morning at 10. Contact Brian Beatty online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or call him at 843-345-1273. 843-345-1273.